Hey guys, I am back. I took a couple of days off of filming after Vlogmas to just chill, relax, but I am back with some more end-of-year content. Today I thought it would be fun to reflect on all of my makeup purchases from the year and share my top 5 purchases and my bottom 5 purchases of the year. So the 5 products that I regret buying the most, that if I had the choice I would probably just want to get my money back. I mean, obviously it's too late now, but these are things that I feel like maybe I didn't really think through well enough, or they just didn't end up working out for me. And I also just kind of want to do this as a way to reflect on my spending habits this year and see if maybe there was a pattern among the products that I regretted buying versus the products that I'm so happy I bought. So let's start with my bottom 5 purchases of the year. A couple of these I've already decluttered. Some of them I am keeping and using because they're not like total fails or anything, but the first product I kind of wish I hadn't bought this year was the Profusion Pastel Palette. I did a video on this and overall my verdict was it's not a terrible palette, but I think what the conclusion I've come to with these Profusion palettes is that the all matte palettes just don't tend to be a favorite for me. I think that Profusion's best shadows are their shimmer shadows, so any palette that has shimmers in it I'm probably gonna like, but this palette is all matte. Number one, I'm not really much of an all matte eyeshadow wearer anyway, and two, I just don't think their matte formula is really that great. I think it's their shimmer formula that really shines. So this year I purchased a lot of pastel shadows. I purchased this palette, the Clarity So Mermazing palette, the BH Cosmetics Lost in LA palette. I am set on pastels now, but out of all of those, I even purchased some pastel singles. And out of all those, I feel like this one is just kind of meh, kind of so-so. The formula's not that great. I haven't honestly used this palette very much. Now, come springtime, I might find myself reaching into this a bit more because it does have some really fun, unique colors in it, and these shadows do perform fine over a white base like the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk, so it's not a total dud. I will use it. I don't think I'll declutter it. Maybe in the future I will, but kind of wishing I just hadn't bought this altogether. I kind of wish I could get my $5 back, but you know, at least it was only $5 and not like 50. Now, another drugstore eyeshadow palette that I sort of just wish I hadn't bought this year was the CoverGirl True Naked Jet Setter Quad. This I did decide to declutter in my end of year declutter. It's very gently used. I will probably donate it or find a friend or someone to give it to, but these shadows were also just kind of so-so. I think CoverGirl eyeshadows are just not for me. Maybe in the future, if they reformulate and they come out with some amazing eyeshadows, I'd be willing to try them again. But I definitely didn't really carefully think through my decision to purchase this. I didn't look up reviews or anything. It was just kind of one of those things I bought on a total whim at the drugstore. And the reason why was because I felt like I hadn't really heard anyone talking about these quads, and I thought they might be another good drugstore eyeshadow quad to check out. Turns out there's a reason no one's really talking about these, and it's just that it's just mediocre, and it's also like $12 for this little quad. I think I was also drawn to the fact that it was a quad, and I always say that I love quads. I love how compact they are and how curated and easy they are to use, but honestly I feel like this past year I was way more inclined to reach into my bigger palettes, so I think I'm probably going to hold off on collecting a ton more like small quads or trios and things like that. That's probably why I only have one quad in my collection right now, the Aether one, which I do love, but as much as I like the idea of quads, I don't think I actually end up using them as much as I think I will, and on top of that, this one was just kind of not that great, so wish I hadn't bought that, honestly. A bit of a regret. Another CoverGirl regret, I have talked ad nauseum about these. These were included in my worst makeup of 2021 video, but I definitely do regret buying these. This was something I bought just because it was cheap and I wanted to try it, just in case it ended up being like a hidden drugstore gem, and it was not. It's the CoverGirl Easy Breezy Brow Fill and Define Pencils. These, if you want to know why these are so bad, you can watch my worst products of 2021 video, but long story short, they're just so incredibly stiff that you have to press down so hard to get anything to show up. Yeah, I probably should have sought out some reviews on these before I bought them. This was another Walmart impulse purchase. I mean, at least it was only like $3, but still $3 I could have saved and put towards something else, so. Okay, the only high-end product on my bottom 5 list was the Supergoop Shimmer Shade with SPF 30. This is an SPF eyeshadow. I totally fell for the SPF marketing on this, which it is really cool that it has SPF in it. I think for some people this type of product could be really useful, especially if maybe your job is outside but you still want to wear a little bit of makeup, or you just spend a lot of time outside. It's a nice way to add a little bit of extra protection to your eyelids. But for me personally, I just wear my regular old face sunscreen on my eyelids. I use the mineral sunscreen so it doesn't irritate my eyes. So I just don't have a need for something like this. On top of that, the shelf life of this was actually very short. This expires in February of 2022, so I'm using it as much as I can right now, but after that date, the sunscreen won't be reliable. And I only bought this it was the spring Sephora sale of 2021, so I had less than a year to use this product before the SPF would expire. And the third thing is just that the shade is not very exciting. It's just a very kind of subtle, kind of one-note, light pinky champagne color. I feel like if I'm buying a cream eyeshadow for 25 bucks or however much this cost, I want it to have some kind of shift to it, or I just want it to be something a little bit special, something different than all the other light pink eyeshadows that I have in my collection. So this I totally wish I hadn't bought. It's not that I think it's the worst product of all time, but there were several downsides to it that just ended up making it not really the right product for me. So I kind of wish I would have saved my 20-something dollars and not bought that. Okay, and then the fifth product on my bottom 5 list was actually something I bought during the Black Friday sales, and this is the e.l.f. matte lip color in Rich Red. Okay, first of all, I'm an idiot because I shopped the e.l.f. Black Friday sale, like during their Black Friday sale where they were having 40% off site-wide. It was 40% off orders of $30 or more, and I think I spent either exactly $30 or just under $30, and so I didn't even get the 40% off. And I didn't even realize that before I checked out. So I just paid full price, essentially. I think I got a good percent cash back with Rakuten, so that's nice, but I didn't even get the Black Friday deal that I thought that was the whole reason I was shopping, so. But anyway, this was already marked down, so I did at least get a little discount on this, but whatever. I bought this because I have always really liked this matte lip color formula. It does seem that they're discontinuing this, and I bought the color Rich Red because it looked like a beautiful blue-based matte red, and I didn't really have a good matte classic blue-based red in my collection, so I figured this would be the perfect thing because I've always liked how long-wearing this formula is. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's just this shade, but I feel like this color is actually a lot more sheer than I expected. It's still pretty and I still will use it, it's just not quite what I thought I was getting. You see how like kind of light and sheer that is? And you can definitely build it up, but the matte lip colors that I've had in the past I feel like have been more opaque than this, so kind of disappointed. And then a couple weeks later I got in PR a red lipstick from Base Blue Cosmetics in the shade Dress Code that's like the perfect matte blue-based red. Like, it's kind of what I wanted this to be, so now I have something I like better, which is good. I will still use this. It's not like a total fail or anything. Like, it's totally usable and there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just not quite what I was expecting to get, and I kind of just wish I had skipped it altogether. But, you know, hindsight's 20/20, I guess. So those are my bottom 5 purchases of the year. Now, by the way, I don't think I mentioned this at the beginning, but I'm only looking at the products that I purchased with my own money. I'm not looking at PR, I'm not looking at things that were given to me as a gift. I just wanted to look at the things that I spent my own money on as a way to kind of assess my own spending habits. So let's go ahead and take a look at my top 5 purchases of the year. The first one is no surprise at all. This ended up being one of my favorite discoveries of the entire year, and it's the BH Cosmetics Summer in Saint-Tropez palette. This is probably one of my most used palettes of the year. It is such a fun, colorful palette. It gets me out of my comfort zone while still keeping me in my comfort zone in a way, because there's a lot of comfort shades in here. These light shimmers are very like easy for me, easy to work with, and the mattes are just so blendable and beautiful. So that has to be one of my favorite purchases of the year. I'm so glad I finally tried BH Cosmetics this year because they are an amazing brand, especially for eyeshadows. Another product from the earlier part of the year that I bought was from Mented. This is another one of my most used products of the year. This is their Peach Lip Pencil. Great lip liner formula. How much do I have left of this? Oh, wow, that much. Okay, I feel like that's not a ton. I've used quite a bit of this. This is probably something I'll use up within the next year. I wouldn't be surprised if this is in my 2022 makeup empties, because I use this so much. Not today. Today I'm wearing more of like a cool tone nude, but I love a warm peachy nude all year round. I just think it's so flattering. So it's really the color of this that I love. The formula is also great. I'm not super picky about my lip liner formulas, honestly, but I really like this. I really want to try more from Mented. I know they've got some great lipsticks. They also have like a bronzer that came out last year, I think it was, that I'd be interested in. So they're definitely a brand I have my eye on to try more from in the new year, because this I've been using so much this year. Another one of my favorite purchases this year was the ColourPop Pretty Fresh foundation. Ever since I bought this, this has been my go-to foundation. This is just the perfect foundation. It really is. I mean, I think I'd be happy if this was my only one. This is what I have on my face today. I love the finish. It's very dry skin friendly without being super dewy, which I feel like is a very hard combination to get right. This is my new favorite foundation of all time. Okay, I'm back. I had to pause. My mom came to get my compost. All right, so I guess this is number 4 on my top 5, although these are in no particular order. The LYS Higher Standard Satin Matte Cream Blush in the shade Kindness. Of course, actually one of these was not on my best of 2021 because I just bought it. Like, it was one of my last purchases of the year. But these 4, the LYS blush, the Mented lip liner, the foundation, and the palette were all in my best of 2021. This is just such a good cream blush. It's just so easy to work with. I have absolutely zero complaints. It's completely matte, no shimmer to it, which lately I've been into. I mean, I do love a glowy blush, but lately I've been loving matte cheek products even more. It's just very smooth, blendable, creamy, all the things you want in a cream blush. So I'm so glad I tried this. There's definitely a reason why so many people love and recommended this. These 2 products actually are ones that you guys recommended to me. And I'm very glad that I took your advice and bought them because they're fantastic. Okay, so the 5th product on my top 5 purchases of 2021 might come as a surprise because this is very new and I wasn't so sure about this when I first tried it. I did try it in my testing new makeup video that I did like a week ago or so, but it's the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in the shade Fair. So when I tried it in that video, I felt like it was maybe too light. Like, I mean, you can see this is the lightest shade that it comes in. And in that video, I did kind of struggle getting it to show up, but I think that was mainly because the foundation I was wearing was a little bit too warm and slightly too deep for my skin tone. I think that day, the first time I tried it, was just a fluke because every time I've tried it since, I love it. It's so easy to work with. I can't mess it up. It goes on so smoothly. Again, it is matte, so it just looks great on my skin tone. And one of you guys commented, and I agree, is that my skin looks bronzed, but it doesn't look like I'm wearing bronzer. And that is kind of what I'm going for. That's why I chose this lightest shade. That's why I prefer a bronzer shade that's just maybe a shade or 2 deeper than my skin tone so that it just looks undetectable and just perfectly blended into my skin. And the other reason that I'm so glad I bought this, I think, was because I kept this on my wish list for a long time. I really let it sit there. I slept on it for months. I kind of had it in my head that I wanted it, but I waited a really long time to buy it, and I'm glad I did. I think that's one of the reasons why this is one of my best purchases of the year, is because I really heavily considered it before I bought it, especially because it's so expensive. And that's one thing I've noticed has kind of shifted for me in the past like year or so, is that I'm a little bit more inclined to spend more money on like one really nice thing than to want to try a bunch of inexpensive drugstore things. And one common theme here is that 4 out of my 5 worst purchases of the year were very inexpensive drugstore products, except the only one that wasn't was that Supergoop eyeshadow, but these other 4 were all kind of drugstore impulse purchases. But then on the flip side of that, 3 of my top 5 purchases were also drugstore. I mean, I guess the Mented is sold at Target and Ulta. It's not like cheap, but I think you would consider that drugstore. So this is certainly not to say that I won't also enjoy drugstore. I think I always will love finding like drugstore hidden gems, and I totally think you can find amazing quality products at the drugstore. But I also think that when it comes to high-end and luxury makeup, I definitely don't want to have like a huge collection of luxury products, but I am more inclined to really think through that purchase before I make it. And once I have it, I'm more likely to really cherish it and enjoy it and use it because I know I spent more on it. And that's kind of the case with this bronzer. I took my time making the decision. I determined that it was going to be a really good fit for me. Then I waited for a good sale, got a good discount on it, and now that I have it, I love it. Like, I'm just so happy to see this beautiful compact in my collection, and I think the whole experience of using this just feels very luxurious and like I kind of treated myself. And it's the fact that I know I splurged and treated myself that makes me enjoy it that much more. So it's just kind of a little mindset thing that I've noticed with my makeup spending. You guys will have to let me know if you feel similarly about high-end products. I think I'm kind of getting to this point where I prefer to have fewer but nicer things. And those nicer things could be drugstore things, but I don't like having crap like this that I just randomly picked up at Walmart just because I wanted to pick something up at Walmart, you know? So just something to think about. I think that's kind of one of the big takeaways as I'm kind of reflecting on my spending this year. Another video that I'll have going up soon will be my Q4 spending wrap up. I'll share everything I bought in Q4. I'll also share the total amount that I spent on makeup this year and some final reflections. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're having a great holiday week. The week before New Year's is always kind of a weird week, but I always enjoy it because it's just a nice time to kind of relax, reflect on the year past, and set some goals for the new year ahead. So I hope you guys are having a great week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!